Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones, and this evening's video, we'll talk about a little bit of the news, particularly what's going on with the Iranian situation in Israel. I'm going to talk about why I enjoy living in this country. Going to put some emphasis on the hypocrisy of the left and then other topics as I need to discuss them or will discuss them. But first of all, I've been hearing in the news that Iran and Iraq, correction, Iran and Israel are at it again. Now, I'm just going to say this. When it comes to wars, we don't want anybody to have a nuclear weapon. Once that happens, the world is destroyed. Now, I know the Iranians have been trying to get a nuclear weapon for a long time. Now, do we have the bunker busters? We're the only ones who have the bunker busters. But outside of that, I don't believe we should be getting into any other wars with countries that basically have a different culture than what we have. And one thing I don't want to see, I mean, I've been over to the Middle East before. I don't want the Western influence to go to every country. You see what the Western influence has done to a lot of countries? It's fucked them up. I mean, you look at the United States, as good as this country is, you have a lot of backwards thinking people, particularly the gender of women. And I say that because a number of women are tolerant and they're dangerous when it comes to voting because they will vote for all this just because a number of them are misandrous in thought. So when it comes to war, you have to look at what's going on over there. You have Asia over there, which features China, India. You also have Pakistan. And what about Russia? You have a lot of mean dictators over there, and you have a lot of armies. And I will tell you, it will not be smart to send troops into the mountains of Iran. It's just too many people who know the mountains over there. So the bottom line is, I like the way Donald Trump is conducting this. He's taking his time. Now, you have some war hawks who want him to go to war. No, let him think it out. I don't believe that war is the answer. All war is going to do is going to awaken the other countries, and we could be headed for World War III. And we do not need another world war because if that happens, we're actually going to get a real draft. And I'm going to tell you this, we have a number of men out here who are very, very soft. Now, I will tell you, when it comes to the military, there's a lot of structure in the military. But if you don't understand how the military works, particularly during wartime, we're going to end up with a lot of caskets coming home from the Middle East. Now, the military isn't for everybody. But when it comes to war, particularly between countries who've been dueling it out for centuries. Now, have to remember when it comes to some of the Jewish people, well, you have some of them who've come from Russia and those other Eastern countries into Israel. Now, Israel, and I've been over to Israel as well. Israel has a Western influence, but you see a lot of the other countries don't. They're Islamic in nature, and they don't like the Jews over there. Well, bottom line, I do not agree with the president going over to Iraq unless, or Iran, unless they do something to us. And do I really trust Israel as an ally? Well, the problem is you have that country, they want to tell us when we can fight. So you're the small country, but you're asking us for our help, but you're telling us what we can do. Well, that doesn't work. That's what a number of these countries think they can do to push the United States around. Well, see, when you had bad leadership, particularly the Joe Bidens, other countries could push the Americans around. But now, with Trump in office, they can't push Americans around. Americans are a tough country. But on the war or being the police of the world, that's not going to help anything. And in the end, I believe we'll lose out. I mean, this isn't World War One, World War Two. Oh, this is a different war where we're not the only ones who have nuclear weapons. And the bottom line is, you think about it. If Kamala Harris were in office right now, I believe we would have gone to war because they would have run over Kamala Harris. This is why I don't want any women in power. They're easy to run over. They're gullible. They make decisions based on emotion. And if she were in office with Tampon Tim, yeah, we would have been at war. And we would have gone further and further to the left in this country. But that's my take on going over to Iran. I don't believe we should go to Iran. I don't even believe we should deal with Ukraine. Now, you notice Zelensky, he hasn't come over here for money. Because that's generally what a lot of countries want from us. They want money from us. Many of them don't like Americans, but they love our money. And that takes me to the next topic when I talk about the hypocrisy, particularly the hypocrisy of the left. Now, it's funny when the left last week during Flag Day, and it was Donald Trump's birthday, and which the protests still don't make any sense because they're talking about the No Kings protest. First of all, here in America, we don't have a king. America became independent of a king, and the king was over there in England. And let me throw another piece of hypocrisy at you as well. England, they're having the same type of protest over there. No king's protest. But England, how are you going to protest no king when you have a king? And this is the problem with the lefties. And here, the lefties are dominated by women. And if you look at the Democratic Party right now, they don't really have any interest in men's issues. It's all about girl power. This is why you hear people like AOC and Jasmine Crockett. The Democrats want to promote those two people. Well, good luck. I'm going to stay on the side where I don't have to deal with that party. And see, when it comes to women empowerment, I just believe there are too many women in government, period. And they have influence over how this country is being run. And a number of women, in essence, many of them are turning more and more to the left for equality. But the bottom line is they want equality as a benefit, but yet they want to be traditional women to be catered to as well. And socially, I always hear this 50-50. Okay, let me discuss my version of 50-50. Now, I know I hear, and I'm going to go off track for a moment here. I hear a number of women on some of these videos out here saying, well, if a man starts talking about 50-50, then I shouldn't date him because as a woman, I can provide for myself. Well, if you could provide for yourself, what about the relationship? See, 50-50 does not necessarily mean everything's cut down the middle. This is what everybody is thinking. 50-50, and I'm just giving you my point of view, talks about, are you putting any effort into the relationship? And a number of women just don't put effort into relationships. They're lazy. They want to be subsidized every which way but loose. And this is why today you actually see the female nature. It's always been there. A number of them are cheating. A number of them don't believe in relationships themselves. A number of them use goods. A number of them vote Democrat. And see, the basis for feminism is not about equality. It's for women to be whores. Because a number of them have always been, but it's been under the microscope. But these are the ones who vote Democrat. And Democrat is the party of the pedos. The other day, I saw a video, and these women were in the bathroom. And here this man comes in there, says he's a trans woman. And scared the women half to death. And of course, you heard it in Fairfax County, where a man came in posing as a trans woman, saying that he's trans. He actually sexually assaulted a daughter in Fairfax County, someone's daughter. And the father got upset, which he should have been upset. But they arrested the father. Then another area is when there was an Asian spa, and there were women in this Asian spa. And here comes a man swinging his sausage around in front of kids at this Asian spa in California. This was a few years ago. Guess who was targeted? Wasn't him. It was the spa. You had, I don't believe BLM was out there, but you had Antifa out there, these punk kids. See, this is what a number of women sign up for. You talk about equality, but then there's hypocrisy. You don't want to deal with men, but you'll deal with a trans woman who's still a man, who can come and take your job and who can come and take your life from you too. So women don't think about that. It's bottom line, it's too much bullshit girl power. And because you have so many men who are simps, particularly black men, and I'm going to give Angry Man, and I heard his video, and he is right. A number of black men are cowards. They don't check that black woman. They put up with the bullshit from her. They're simps. And you have a number of white men who are also simps. See, when you have allowed feminism to weaken you as a man, you become a coward. And there are a number of black men out here and white men who are cowards. And these are the individuals who can't run their households. They have an issue with women. Now, I'm not sitting up here hating on women, but I have to see the truth out there. Some of the women are Democrats and they're liberal, very dangerous. And they see the patriarchy, and I don't really call it the patriarchy. You know, the order of things has always been God, man, woman, and child. It's a structure, and a number of women really don't want structure. They don't want a man telling them what to do. They think in their mind, if a man is asking something of them, he is controlling her. Well, when you go to work, ladies, and you have a boss who's a male, and what happens if you don't do what that boss asks you to do? You lose your job. But you will put up with the bullshit on a job, but you won't come home and deal with what your man is asking you to do. And when it comes to a relationship, if you talk about a team, it takes two people working. That's what 50-50 means to me. Number of you women are so hell bent on finances. Certainly, you should be able to do for yourself. But there was one woman, I believe Anton had it out, says, I can do 50% myself, but I want a man to be able to give me more than what I can give myself. Well, what about you giving him? It's always you, 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 you. And this is the problem with the culture. And because men haven't put their feet down, this is what you get. You get individuals that are just running their mouths. They don't know anything about relationships. They don't know anything about politics. All they have been around been feminism. And feminism started from some of the baby boomers, Gen Xers, all the way down. And everybody knows it. Bottom line is, when I get on YouTube or when I look at CNN, because a lot of people are getting their information from a CNN. We all know it. CNN is trash. Now, the only people that I will watch on CNN who know how to hold it down are Scott Jennings and Kevin O'Leary. The rest of them are fruitcakes. In fact, if you really look at the situation, particularly with these protests, if I go out and ask a number of these individuals, what are they really protesting? They couldn't tell me. They're hearing what the television tells them, and they're being paid. And I know the George Soros has a hand in it. Even a Democratic National Convention, that's part of the news as well. Do you know they're out of money? So who right now would be a candidate for president in 2028 with the Democratic Party? Newsom? I mean, Newsom thought he had control of the National Guard. Supreme Court said, nah, Trump can bring in the National Guard. It is Trump's responsibility to protect the country. And a lot of these Democrats, your Maxine Waters, your Karen Basses, your Gavin Newsom's, your Kathy Holcombs, they are for the illegals. Now, again, I've already said this before, the reason why they are for the illegals. Now, the illegals don't have to vote, but it comes down to the census. And if you have a growing population in your state, that's more congressional seats that you get in your state. And the more congressional seats you have, the more power you have. Particularly if you're in a state like California and New York. Both of those states are Democrats, and the Democrats, that's how they win power. Because when it comes to the Senate, every state is always going to have 2 senators, but it's the congressional seats, and it is very important. Now, if you look at the Democrats right now, the only 2 people that I could see truly running for president, you have Shapiro, but the Democrats don't like Jewish people, so he's out. Then there is a governor from Kentucky, Brashear, I believe his name is. They're the only hope. But you got people like Tampon Tim, and I saw something, and I'm trying to read into this. Did Tampon Tim have this one guy go out and kill those 2 lawmakers, or one lawmaker in Minnesota? I don't know. it seems suspicious because they haven't caught that guy. He's still on the run, but he's a Democrat. And one thing about the Democrats, see, the Democrats want us to bow down to them. They think they're better than us. They think they're smarter than we are. They believe because they have education that they're on top of the world. They believe that they have these cushiony jobs. And a number of them are lawyers. Again, most of the Democrats right now are women. They want girl power. That's where a lot of your feminism. Now, I'm not going to say feminism doesn't come in the Republican Party because there are a number of Republican women. They might present themselves at the surface as conservatives, but westernized women, for the most part, unless you are early baby boomers born in your, between 1945 and maybe 1953, I can't trust most of you, but particularly when it comes to women in my age bracket. I'm 60. And when it comes to the Gen Xers on down, they're the worst you can date. I mean, they've been so indoctrinated by feminism. These were the women, when I was growing up, they were on Donahue, Oprah, Jenny Jones, Richard Bay, Ricky Lake, Sally Jesse, Raphael, Montel Williams. There was another one. I can't remember her name. She was another black woman. I mean, people like Kendra G. Now, I'm going to tell you something too that I read. Malcolm X's wife was for the streets too, Betty Shabazz. Well, Betty Shabazz had some twins. Now, nobody knows this, but Betty Shabazz, the twins that she had, they weren't Malcolm X's children. They weren't. Malcolm X married somebody from the streets as well. This is why you have to go back. Now, can people change their positions? Absolutely. But a number of these women, they have been programmed by feminism. Feminism, in my humble opinion, it's supposed to be about equality in the workforce, but it's not. It's really, women want special rights for being women. They want the same pay as men, even if they do the least amount of work. In fact, I see a number of them, they grumble, but yet they want me to do the work for them while they get paid the same amount of money. They live in a delusional world, a number of these women do. But if you look at the Democratic Party, that's why men have left the Democratic Party. And if you look in the black community, men aren't going back to church. The black community is always going to be the way it is. It's going to be women and children. And the black men, they're just weak. They call themselves tough. They're either going to end up in jail or dead. They're not going to build anything. Now, it's funny, a number of these, particularly black women, believe in Tyler Perry. Now, of course, he's got this suit coming at him. I don't know what to become of that. When it comes to these celebrities, I don't care about these celebrities. Now, I'm not knocking Tyler Perry's hustle. I mean, he actually came from nothing. And he's a billionaire. Now, it's funny, black people talk about being oppressed. But if you think about it, black people have a lot of money. And if you don't believe me, black people have made, particularly black women, they've made Tyler Perry rich. Black women have also made some of these Korean hair stores rich. Black people have bought Jordans, made somebody rich. So black people have money, but the problem is they keep saying they're oppressed. No, you're not oppressed. You don't want to be successful. And a number of you, when it comes to this country, you don't want to do anything for this country. And if you want to go and live in other countries, I'm going to tell you this. I've been over to other countries. There's no country like America. I mean, I've been to the Mediterranean. Yes, some of those countries. Been up in the Black Sea. I've been right around Israel and Turkey and France, Spain, and Italy. Yeah, those countries may look good on the outside, but most of the governments over there, they're socialist governments and they're dictatorships. And I don't want to live under a dictatorship. I've been down in Cuba. Who wants who wants to be under Fidel Castro? Bottom line is you have a number of people who hate this country, but they benefit from this country. These are the individuals on the left. And my question is, if you're successful, why do you hate this country so much? I mean, you're getting everything that you want. I mean, those women on The View, they complain, Trump, 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 Trump every day. First of all, your girl didn't win. And I'm happy she didn't win. Bottom line is, you sit on TV, you talk a bunch of stuff about what Trump's doing. What are you doing? I mean, those individuals on The View, I know Anna Navarro's supposed to be a Republican. She's not a Republican. When you side with the left, you're not a Republican. You're Rhino. You're the same thing. Liz Cheney. Again, when it comes to women, and you women, I'm just going to say this to you. Stop taking bad advice for women who can't maintain relationships or pair bond. If you're a woman in a relationship, don't hang out with single women because they're going to try to influence you to cheat. They're going to tell you your man is no good, and they're going to have you believe in it. But they're not the ones that are going to take that ass whooping like you are. Bottom line is, the people on the left, they're destroying this country. And really believe this, that they're tolerant. The left, they're the most intolerant people out there. They're talking about fascism. See, what the left is calling everybody on the right, it's because the left isn't getting their way. That's who the left is. The left is very authoritarian. If it had been up to the left, we would all be in masks right now. They would have extended that COVID to now. So that's what killed Trump in 2020, the COVID. And I'm also hearing some information that there may have been some Chinese interference in the 2020 election. I know COVID had something to do with it because a number of the individuals, they didn't like Trump. And that's what this all comes down to. Again, I said this on my last video. President Clinton deported illegals. Obama deported illegals. Were there any protests? No. And these protests are really riots. And California wants the taxpayers of other states to pay for the damage that was in California. Well, the transportation secretary is not going to give California any money to fund their roads and bridges because what happened? Protesters took instruments, woke up the curbs, used the concrete to throw at people. I mean, these protesters out here, you have your Antifas out here. There's, for individuals who are supposed to be educated, I see that the Democrats are some of the most uneducated. These are people who are lazy. These are individuals who are traitors to this country. And let me give you some more hypocrisy. And Democrats, if you love blacks so much, and if you say you love people who have some religion, well, let me ask you this. How come you took Aunt Jemima off the pancake box and off the syrup and replaced that with Pearl Milling Company? How come you took the black cream of wheat man off of cream of wheat? How come you took Uncle Ben's off of Uncle Ben's rice? You like black people so much because you don't like black people. That's why. But you're hypocrites. How come you had some schools? Like I live here in Indiana, Valparaiso. They used to be known as the Valparaiso Crusaders. Well, how come you had Valparaiso change their name to the Valparaiso Beacons? Because you didn't like the Crusaders. See, whatever you don't like, you believe you have the authority to change it, and you'll go through the courts with these activist judges. How come you got the Cleveland Indians to change their name to the Cleveland Guardians, and the Washington Redskins to change their name to the Washington Commanders? But you didn't hold that standard with the Atlanta Braves. They're still the Atlanta Braves. I remember when the Atlanta Braves were the Milwaukee Braves. And prior to that, I wasn't living there with the Boston Braves. The Braves still have their name. Florida State still has their name. The Florida State Seminoles. The Kansas City Chiefs have their name. Well, how come you didn't have them change their names? Is that not hypocrisy? Bottom line, with a number of you Democrats out here, is many of you, in my humble opinion, are evil people. You don't care about structure. You're the biggest anarchists out here, but you believe that our side, we're the ones who are anarchists. No, we're not out here destroying businesses, and businesses from people who vote for you too. But you have your leaders in the Democratic Party. They want these criminal migrants to be here. And it was funny. ICE came in, raided a facility in Nebraska. And guess what? They got all the illegals out of there, and Americans came to apply for those jobs. So you believe Americans won't work those jobs? See, the bottom line with you Democrats is the reason why it's very hard, because you all want the illegal. See, you believe in slavery. You believe that we need people out there to pick all of our crops. Well, we have machines to do that. Let the farmers hire people. But see, what you Democrats do, you want the illegals to come in, because when they work, they'll work for anything, and they keep the wages down. And I also believe that if you are a business and you are hiring illegals and you don't want to follow the rules, don't support that business. In fact, that business shouldn't get anything. The bottom line here is you have to look at what's going on here. The Democrats in this country, they believe in socialism, Marxism, communism. These are the individuals who are talking about getting people educated. When they're the dumbest people out there. They get on TV, they act like they have an opinion. Nobody cares about your opinion, because your opinions don't mean anything. You don't have any power. Yeah, you have a number of women who vote for you, but all women aren't going to vote Democrat. But there are a heck of a lot more men. Men are, I saw the polls the other day. Men are voting at 58% to 41% for Republicans. Women, 51% women, 51% Democrat, 47% Republican. Too close to call. So you still have a number of women who are voting Republican. And you Democrats, if you don't get the male vote, you're not going to win. And you're going to lose more and more votes because men want to be men again. In fact, I'm sick of these feminists telling us how to be men, but yet you want to be men yourselves. I mean, you want to get on this show, you want to get on TV, pretend like you're kicking a man's ass, and that's not really true. But that's what TV is taught. A number of these individuals, they have an image that they see in their head. They don't look at the real world. This is why the liberals in this country or the progressives have a problem with this country. And now, speaking of this country, listen, if you're coming over for another country, keep your flag at home. You people who are waving that Mexican flag over here in this country, go back to your country and wave that flag. See, you're coming over here forcing us to believe in what you believe in. Look, you're illegal immigrants. You broke the law. You need to go back home and try to come back the regular way, like the people who did it. And if it takes you 5 to 10 years, it takes you 5 to 10 years because a number of you talk about the work. Well, what you're doing, you're basically working under the table anyway, and you're having money sent right back to Mexico. So if you want resources to go back to Mexico, just go back home and work for the resources there so Americans can have jobs. That's the issue. I mean, and when I see Americans out there, particularly, you have a number of Latinos out here who say blacks aren't supporting them. See, the reason why this protest isn't working because blacks aren't in front. They're trying to get black women because they're the most ignorant and they're easy to influence, but they're not even out there. You have a number of white people and Latino people, and it's not working. And then everybody wants the blacks to come back. A number you don't like black people. I know some sand niggas out there known as the dot heads and Indians, they don't like black people. I know I've worked for them. The slant eyes don't like black people. Some of you other minorities can come over here and talk about black people, but you know what? And I'm going to say this myself. If it hadn't been for black people, you wouldn't even be able to protest because, see, black people actually went through something. And I've seen some videos where some of these Latinos said, we're going to be deported. No, we're not going to be deported. We're actually Americans. You're not. I was born here. I was born in Baltimore. I've been here. You're the one who's a criminal. And no, we are not going to support you coming over here illegal, taking all of our resources. And because you also have a number of the Democrats out here saying, well, Donald Trump wants to cut the Medicaid and the Medicare. No, he wants people who are on it, who are able-bodied, to work for it. That's what he wants. Bottom line is, a number of you all are listening to the media, and all the media is going to do is play images in your head so you'll believe them over and over and over again. This is why I don't look at the Washington Post. This is why I don't look at the alphabet channels. I don't even look at MSNBC, CNN, and I'm barely looking at Fox because the mainstream media is basically corrupting society. And see, right now, if you look at what's going on, have you heard anything about the tariffs lately? Have you heard anything about eggs lately? You notice when the media, when something's working for Trump, see, the media doesn't have anything to say about Trump that's good. But you notice you hadn't heard him talk about the tariffs lately? You really haven't heard too much about the stock market, price of eggs, price of gas. Trump hadn't even been in for 6 months yet. He's been in for 5 months, 5 months and one day. And he's already done more for this country than Joe Biden did in 4 years. Now, I want you Republicans to listen to me right now. When you get out there, you start running your campaigns, start playing these riots over and over and over again in every state. Rehash them every day. Put Newsom's face and Karen Bass's face. Put Maxine Waters, particularly you all who are living in California. I know Jericho Green, shout out to him. He lives out there. And shout out to my man, Machismo TV. Shout out to my man, Tito, Salty Balls. Also, shout out to Mr. O with the info. Get over there to his channel. He's the street journalist. He's going to give you some more insight. What the bottom line is, start putting out the information on the Democrats. You want to hit them right now? Hit them with the hypocrisy. And your Republicans, you need to get your act in gear to look at this bill, have that bill passed by at least August or September. You want to maintain power so Trump can achieve his agenda. Because if you put people like Hakeem Jeffries in power, if the Democrats ever take over Congress again, they're going to impeach Trump because they don't like Trump. That's the bottom line. I don't even see why they don't like Trump. Trump was a Democrat. Problem is, Democrats have sold out. And you get all these individuals, Fannie Willis, Letitia James, your days are coming. Put you all behind prison. Break some stone out there. You all are running your mouths too much. Talking about how much power you got. You don't have power unless it's in New York. But the bottom line is, I'm exposing the Democrats and some Republicans for their hypocrisy. And they're a danger to society. I mean, you had this raid up there. It wasn't a raid, but the newspapers and the media called it a raid in their Dodger Stadium of ICE. They're trying to do their jobs. And there were videos up here by the Democrats and some other stupid individuals talking about the Broward County, Florida sheriff and what he said he was going to do. Well, they do need to do that. You see, there's nothing wrong with peacefully protesting, like the Vietnam War. That was a peaceful protest. That war shouldn't have gone on. But when you are destroying people, keeping people from going to work, and you know what? I've seen it where some of these protesters are getting run over by cars. It's good. Lucky somebody doesn't pull out a M16 and start shooting some of these protesters, because that's coming next. People are getting fed up. You're getting paid to do nothing but agitate people, and you don't even know what the issues are about. You talk about, oh, there's fascists. Many of you don't read. See, your ignorant people are the ones out there protesting. Talking about how educated you are. Yeah, you went to college for a bullshit major, and now you're out there protesting. Protesting what? And particularly you know, the dumbest people I'm seeing right now, and I'm going to put it out there, are your city and suburban white women. You happen to be the most stupid people out there. I don't respect you at all. And then you're trying to be like black women. But at least I applaud some of the black women, not the dumb ones. I mean, we have enough dumb black women out there. I will tell you that, particularly the Democrats. But a number of black people out there, I applaud you for not getting in that protest. It's not for you. It's not your fight. Let them go out in this country. And I will say this: if they burn the American flag, give them 20 years. And folks, let me tell you something. If you think another country is better than this country, go live in that other country. Because I hear a number of people complaining about this country. Now, when it comes to success, you know the people who are bitching the most, the ones who aren't successful. And you're always gonna be oppressed because you don't want to be successful. You want people to feel sorry for you. You want to live off of successful people. And I've never heard it, but I know when I was coming up, 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, people that had money drove the country and they were admired. They were respected. Rules were respected. Now, if you got money, you're punished for being successful. That's that Marxist, that's that Cloward and Pivens. See, the Democrats, they talk about they want educated people. No, they want poor people. This is why they keep talking about, well, you take away the immigrants, and they're always going to use this line. Don't let them use this line. Well, you take away the immigrants, well, we won't have anybody to do our crops. Well, what are you looking at, slaves? Well, the Democrats are the party of the KKK. And the KKK was put in place just to keep Republicans from achieving, because who was in the Republican Party? You had your whites and you had a number of black people, and believe it, you had some white people that were hanged also. You had white people who were slaves back there when the Moors were over in Europe. Everybody doesn't know that. See, there's a lot of history that even I don't know that I'm learning. And when I learn more history, I put it out there. But right now, the reason why there are issues going on out there with the Democratic Party, because a number of us who've been watching, we know that the Democratic Party, they're going to keep themselves out of power. They don't have anything to run on. They're not working with the president. They don't care about anybody but the interests of other countries. And you think about it. The reason why the Democrats were complaining about tariffs is they don't want other countries' economies to collapse. I don't care about those other countries. Let their countries collapse. I care about this country. I care about our economy. But the Democrats care about other countries. I've never heard that. They're a bunch of treasonous. And for being treasonous, in my humble opinion, go live in those other countries. If you like those countries, but I guarantee you, you're not going to be as successful over there. And it's a mindset. I mean, you think going to another country, being over in another country, and let me tell you this, as I've been over to other countries, guess what I am? When I go to another country. And guess what I have always been when I've been to other countries? Doesn't matter whether you're in the military or not. I've always been a Black American man, and you're American. And over there in some of those other countries, they have a lot of disdain for Americans based on the type of country we have. But a number of you going over there, bigging up these countries, but you don't live there. You don't know how they're run. But you would rather be over there in your own mind rather than here, where you can actually have an opportunity. See, what people don't understand in this country is capitalism is competition. Now, you're going to have some greedy people. I'm not going to say you're not. But in a country like this, it's going to tell you truthfully, you're going to have to work smart. See, my parents raised me So I didn't have to work 2 and 3 jobs. Now, when you're coming up, getting in the workforce, you're going to wash dishes. You're going to work at a fast food restaurant because you don't have any skills. But you attain skills when you get out in the workforce. But even washing dishes, even cooking, that's also skill, believe it or not. Might not be a skill by sitting in a desk with a suit on as an executive manager or upper management. Might not be that kind of job, but everybody can't get that kind of job. And that's the big issue. You have a lot of people in this country who believe they're entitled. These migrants, they're coming over here, putting their flags up. You had individuals in Michigan do the same thing. You're coming over to this country with your culture, but you don't want to assimilate into this country and learn English. You got people like Ilhan Omar saying that this is the worst country. Well, what the hell are you doing here then? Go back to Somalia. If it's that great, this is what I'm talking about. You have all these people who hate this country, but yet they're also running this country, running it into the ground. And you got stupid people who are voting for them. And I'm just going to say, you have nothing today but complainers. I mean, I'm not going to let anybody complain to me. Look, I work hard to get where I am. And is it really about racism? See, most Black people and maybe some of the other minorities who are your poor ones, they're going to call everything racism. I know if I disagree with another Black, they don't want to whoop my ass. They're going to call me a coon because I disagree with his bullshit. He ain't going to do nothing. He thinks I'm scared of him? No. You get a lot of niggas running their mouths out there. Just because you're from the hood. Tell you what, when it comes time for you to go in front of that judge, he slams that gavel down and says, you got 10 to 20 years, you're going to cry like a bitch. Because that's what most of you do. I see a number of individuals up here on YouTube. They think they know what's going on. They believe they know what's going on. They don't know what's going on. A number of Black men talking about other Black men, and I don't do that. I will talk about your behavior. There's a number of people in this world today, particularly in the United States, you're Democrats. They're stuck on what we call arrested development. They've never grown up. They look at this country as a fantasy. You know, all these different sexes that they want. You hear the word intersexuality. This is a dream. No such thing as intersexuality. And I'm glad also the Supreme Court put a ban on minors being able to become transformers. If you're an adult, that's one thing, but you pay for it as well. But the bottom line, when it comes to people in this country is a good country. It's not perfect, but you have a number of people coming over here, build homes, build businesses. Problem is, when you have a so-called melting pot, the bottom line is it's nothing wrong with having your culture. Show your culture in your own house. But when you're out in public, you're Americans. You raise that American flag. English is the #1 language. Yes, it's great to bring your language, teach your children what's going on, teach them about your culture, where you're from. But your children need to know that they're in America. especially the ones who were born here in America. Now, as far as blacks, all the bull crap that's going on with these riots out here, if it were blacks doing this nonsense, where blacks would be headed, by the way, here's the hypocrisy as well. I'm glad blacks are staying home. Blacks would be headed to jail, and police would go upside some of their heads. In fact, I was watching this video the other day. You think guys aren't hitting back? What is black woman, light-skinned black woman, hit this white cop a couple times. That black cop cold cocked her. She fell right to the ground. And I said, good for her. Equal rights, equal lefts. And that's the bottom line. Some of these women here in America, they just don't take men seriously because they just believe men aren't going to do anything because of the laws. Well, sometimes if you poke at the bear, you're going to get eaten. Some of you women are going to run into the wrong men. They're going to pull a cartel out on you. They're going to cut you up. And your pieces will be strewn all over the states where they can't identify you. Because men, we're getting tired of this feminism. But you know what? A lot of the man's fault too, because a lot of us let it happen. See, we will, particularly black people, we don't check our women. We don't check them sisters. But we'll go after each other. We are the only race, and that's true. That bows down to the women. And you look at where we're at. And we have money. But we're not putting money into each other. Our money is not turning over. We're not putting it to any businesses. We don't believe in putting it into any businesses. We're buying. And we're buying entertainment, buying hair, buying shoes, all these brand names. But we don't own the companies. We don't invest as black people. Now, what I will give black people credit for, and you other minorities need to understand this, before you start talking about black people, see, it's not your job to check black people. That's my job. Your job is to stay within your own confines. Because I see a number of Mexicans out there and some Latinos who say they hate blacks. Well, first of all, the black people didn't cross that Rio Grande. And when you crossed that Rio Grande, you became a criminal. And when it comes to black and brown, no. And I'm not saying all Latinos, but a number of you don't care about black people. But you want us out there helping you? I'm glad we're not helping you because we don't need to help you. Bottom line, you're here illegally. Your funding is getting cut off. We don't need you out there working on our farms. Now, of course, some of the Mexicans are hard workers, the ones who are paying taxes. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the freeloaders. And we have a number of freeloaders. I have seen it in the grocery store. I know I went to Kroger's, 16th Street, here in Indianapolis. I know I bought a couple of items. I saw a number of these illegals with their EBT cards. 2, 3 carts of shit. And this is not an exaggeration. I put everything up there on the conveyor belt, and mine was quite a bit of money. But they can pull out what we're giving them. And they're eating better than I am. They get better health care and don't have to do any work for it. And you look at people like the Chicago mayor, and you black people, I'm just going to tell you, You're up there clapping, particularly a number of the black women up there again. You're out there clapping because that mayor in Chicago, he's nuttier than Beetlejuice was. He's going to give you a $4 million or $4 billion grant. I believe it's a $4 million grant. A $4 million grant. Meanwhile, those illegals, they had millions, and you're getting $4 million. Give me a break. But he knows he can buy you all because a number of you are going to vote for him again. Black people vote for symbolism, even if the symbol is the wrong symbol. You still got people out here when it comes to leadership. We need the leaders to check out. We still got, Jesse Jackson. I saw him in a wheelchair. What is he still doing around? Al Sharpton. I believe his name, he might have passed away. John Conyers. All these old black leaders. That's another thing about Democrats. Your stars are going to be young women. You don't have any men. See, at least in the Republican Party, and I'm not always for the Republicans, but right now, they got young guys, Byron Donaldson, J.D. Vance. Mark Rubio has been a pretty good Secretary of State. I don't see that with the Democrats. The men there who got Booker, Buttigieg, Tampon Tim, who can't run his own state. And Tampon Tim, if you are a Republican in Minnesota, you need to run ads up there going back to 2020 of the Democrats destroying Minneapolis. You have two Republicans. Bottom line is, you have to convince a number of the American people out there that the party that was in power at that time in that state and in California, party that's in power, Democrats, they're destructive. They're allowing everything to go, and they don't want the National Guard. They don't want anything. In fact, they call it an insurrection. Well, there was an insurrection of the Insurrection Act, I believe, of 1807. You can bring in the military. All Trump did was federalize the National Guard. Well, the bottom line is, got these liberal activist judges. First of all, these judges can't make policy, they interpret laws. But the courts, that's what the Democrats are doing. See, they don't have any other policy, so what the Democrats are doing, they're going through the courts. The courts aren't going to always give them what they want because the Supreme Court is going to have a lot of court cases to go on. But again, you can vote for whoever you want, but this country was born and raised in this country. And the bottom line is, when you vote Democrat and you're a man, Democrats have no use for you. I don't hear them talking about issues for men, about girl power. That's why most of the women are going over to the Democratic Party. And then you get on all these other shows, like the BET Awards. People ought to stay out of politics because they don't know anything about politics. And then again, the DNC, they lost a lot of money. So you see, they can't even run their own, the DNC, and they're talking about money. And all the Democrats, they don't want any cuts in spending because they want to give the country away to the illegals. That's what they want to do. And if we're up to the Democrats, they talk about national health care. Now, should we get some reparations? I changed my position. I believe we should get some reparations. And here's why. All the other minorities got something. They hate Asia. They got something. The Jews got something. Even the Japanese, they got something when they were in concentration camps here during World War II. But black people have led the charge. And that's the thing. And I'm gonna say this good about black people. Black people do set the trends. We do. And that's what protest is missing. But see, this doesn't concern us. Black people have gotten smart. Regardless, I don't have to agree with them politically, but I will say they've gotten smart. They're staying out of this protest. And these other individuals, they're having trouble with us. They don't like us because we're not fighting with them. Well, do they fight with us? No. They don't want us around. Black people are being very, very, very smart. We don't need to be around people that don't like us. And we had Juneteenth. We need to learn a little bit more about Juneteenth. I know it was Day of Freedom. Black people need to learn more about their history. Now, to me, I believe Juneteenth should be a day off for black people, not for everybody else. You got people who celebrate Cinco de Mayo, the Puerto Rican parade. Do they want us around? No. See, nobody wants black people around until they get in trouble. Now they want to call black people to do the work. Because I can say this, black people, think about all these progressive movements out there. It's come from the civil rights movement. Your alphabet movement, your feminist movement, your illegals, everything has come right from the blacks. And blacks have done some good things. Open heart surgery, a stoplight, the elevator. If it weren't for a black woman, we wouldn't have security systems, computers and cell phones, the mailbox. Black people did that. Refrigeration trucks, black people. Agriculture. We also have a number of people who are coming over here thinking that their country is better than this country. Well, why are you over here then? I don't get that. But there are a number of people. Bottom line is, we allow people to do what they want to do. See, in their country, they can't protest. They'd be executed. But here they can come bring their culture and they can try to tell us what to do, like Israel. I'm not for everything Israel does. Going back. No, we don't need to be in that war. We don't even need to be anywhere near Ukraine. Let them take care of each other. See, everybody they don't like America, but they want America's money. They don't want to pay any tariffs, but they want us to pay all the tariffs. This is why you have a number of people who don't like Americans all across the country, but they want everything we have. And the Democrats, they're Americans, and the Democrats don't even care about America. They hate it so bad because Donald Trump was in office. They liked it when Obama was in office. They liked it when Joe Biden was in office. That's because they were getting the gravy. They're not getting the gravy now. And in the end, they will never get the gravy. Bottom line is, you have a party out here who's, in my humble opinion, very, very distorted in their thinking. They really do not understand how government works. We have a number of Americans here. They talk about intelligence. They don't understand how the government works. They don't even understand how the system's supposed to work. They don't understand interest rates. Because many of them don't invest here. Talk about your average everyday people now. They don't take time to research. They will go along with what they hear people like Roland Martin say on news. And then if you don't agree with somebody like Roland Martin, he wants to yell and scream and call you all kinds of names. Childish. He's a very weak man. But again, when it comes to black men, a number of them are cowards. They are. Oh, they'll talk tough to me. Bottom line, they're weak people. Many of them. I'm out, heard them on panels. That's why I don't do panels. I do one pre-record a week on this channel, and then on my second channel, which I'll do a video tomorrow, I'm just giving you the news here. What's going on here? And that's the bottom line. You got too many people out here who don't know what the hell is going on. They're deluded. And they don't have a winning attitude. They're complainers. This country is not for losers. People have fought in the past for me to get to where I am. And I appreciate what people before me have done so I can have a chance to have a legacy and create a legacy. But here, you got individuals out here that really, they're selfish, entitled, lazy. And you know what? The ones who are complaining about success, about people with money, they don't have money. And they're not trying to get money. And they use excuses. And this is just not black people either. This is a number of American people. These are the people out here protesting. These Americans out here protesting with these illegals, 40s illegals, 40s criminals. You ask them, what are they protesting about? They can't tell you because their minds are in the clouds. Those are the individuals, some of them might have degrees. And just because you have a degree, let me tell you something. As I'm on this, just because you go to church, you listen to a preacher, doesn't mean you come out religious. Just because you have a degree, it doesn't mean you come out smart. Just because you have a job, doesn't mean you know what's going on. Doesn't mean you have power with a job. Just because you work for the mainstream media, doesn't mean you're truthful. Just because you're in government, doesn't mean you know what's going on. Now, what I've just mentioned to you are the 5 powers of society that I always talk about: your religion, your government, your jobs, your media, and education. See, the left is supposed to have all of that. But in the end, they don't. Because what's happened, they want everything to become so progressive. They want a libertine society. They don't want families. See, they'd rather have the illegals come over and have all the children, so raise their population. So the illegals can be on that dole when the census come out. That's what they want. But you have to really focus on what's going on out here. And one thing I will tell you, a number of people in this country, they love to be lied to. Lies make them feel good. They live the lies. And this is what the Democrats are doing. They tell you everything is about race when it's about class. But the Democrats want you to think it's about race. No, it's about class, because you have a number of poor white people too. A number of poor Hispanic people on welfare as well. They're not going to tell you that. You're going to get it here. And you have a number of individuals, they're not out in the street. They can care less what's going on. And a lot of the guys today are living at home, playing video games. They don't have any visions. You have a lot of women who've been given resources and they think they have all the power. This is why they vote Democrat. And when I hear this word, let me get something too. As a socialist, it's 50-50. Again, if you're going to be in a relationship, and I'm going to go back to that, and you're a woman, and you believe, and when I hear a woman complain about 50-50, that means she doesn't want to put anything into the relationship. She thinks she's supposed to get everything handed to her and be pedestalized because she's a woman. No, if you don't make effort, you don't get anything. Not a man's job to provide for you, especially if you are not his woman. Bottom line is, if you can't work with the man that you want to get involved with, you don't need a relationship. Get a cat, get a dog, heck, get another woman. It's funny too, because I was watching another show where this woman, and this was today, it's a black woman. Angry Man had that video on. Well, she said the black woman, and it was a lesbian couples have the most domestic violence. Well, especially the black ones. Well, his girlfriend, uh, lesbian black woman kicked the girlfriend out because she wasn't working. Now I have to sit down there and ask, wasn't working. Now, she complains about a black man not working, but had a female that wasn't working. What did the female do? Destroyed her apartment and left. Broke her dishes, broke her sofa, everything. Even broke her son's old Mac. That was an old Mac. Single mother. Bottom line is this. Sisters, you complain about the black men not working, but you'll take that white boy who's not working. Take that, but you'll complain even about the lesbian woman. It's more hypocrisy. I'm just going to say this. Some of you men and women who are constantly complaining 50-50, bottom line is, are you doing anything within the confines? Are you making effort? To me, 50-50 is making effort. People keep saying it's all about the money, all about the money. You need the money to pay for things, but everything doesn't have to be entertainment. What are you doing for each other? That's what you need to understand. Effort. But a number of people are very selfish and they come in acting as if they want a relationship, but they really don't want a relationship. They want to get something out of it and they want to move on. We live in a selfish society as well. So you got a number of people who hate this country, but they want to try to live off of other people. That right there doesn't make a bit of sense. And a number of people in this country who live delusional, they act like children. I watch a show called Below Deck. You have individuals on there who act like little children, can't control their tempers. When they don't get their way, it's like they take their toys and run. That's how the Democrats are. And that's why they won't win. The bottom line is, you take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. If you're out here in the real world, I'm going to tell you something. The real world is not a fun place to be if you don't understand it. But, if you're here in America, you have to work smart. You have to work hard. It's also competitive. But you also have to understand the history. It's not perfect. But other countries, if you think they're better than America, go live there. And if you are a foreigner, you're coming over here with your flags, keep your flags at home. But don't come over here trying to tell us what to do in our country with your flag. If your country is that great, go back there to your country. Well, most of you aren't going to do that. because you can't protest there like you can do here because you're from dictatorships. But you come from dictatorships, but you want to bring that here. In the end, that's not going to work. Here in the United States of America, there are winners or losers. There are men, there are women. There's poor, there's rich, there's middle class. And another thing, a number of the individuals that are protesting, you're employees or you're unemployed. Well, many of you, you're not managing anything. You're living off the fat of the land. You're getting paid by some socialist country. You're getting paid by the Democrats. The bottom line is you got Trump out there. Now, also, I'm looking at Trump also. He just had an attack. Look at Donald Trump's site. It was successful. Some nuclear sites in Iran. That includes Fordro, Nantes, and Estahan. And all planes are now outside of Iran airspace. See, we don't want them to get a bomb. But he's not trying to start a war. He's got a lot of war hawks here in America. And again, I'm just going to say this to you folks out there. Don't believe everything you see on TV and these protests. If people are protesting and they're getting in your way, you run them over. Kill them if you have to. I don't care about these protesters, these Antifas, they're all punks. They all think they know about something. Throw tear gas out there. I think we need to make some of these people an example because they don't want to follow rules. That's another thing. The rule of law. If you come across the border from Honduras into Mexico, you might get shot. But people think they can just cross the Rio Grande and come over here, get political asylum, and live off the fat of the land and complain about what's going on over here. And then they're upset that Black people won't take up for them. That's crazy. But you got these Democrats out there. Again, the ones who said we have to take Uncle Ben's face off of Uncle Ben's rice. The creamy wheat, and these were Black people. Aunt Jemima changed the name to Pearl Milling Company. Cream of wheat. We didn't take that man's face off the Quaker Oats box, did we? No. But it was Black people. And it reminds me back in the days when Black people had albums. They didn't put their faces on the albums. That's what that reminds me of. So the ones who are constantly calling you racist and sexist and homophobes, and they say they're tolerant, they're the ones who are the most intolerant. They're the ones who want anarchy. They're the ones who want to be able to tell you what to do because they believe in their mind that they're better than you and they know more than you and what they're doing is much better than you are. But in essence, these individuals who talk equality and talk tolerance, they're the most intolerant. They don't want equality. They want supremacy. And what they're doing, they're getting it through the courts. They're getting it through George Soros or trying to get it. They're getting it by lying in the media. They're running for office. And you also, folks, when you look at politicians, just don't look on a federal level, look on a local level. Look what kind of judges you're getting as well, because that has an influence. Because some of these individuals who are locally, they might run for national office. Like I just saw somebody in Virginia. She says, I will stop Donald Trump. Well, how are you going to stop Donald Trump when you're going for lieutenant governor? That's all. You're going for lieutenant governor. And even in the state of Virginia, it might be a blue state because of Northern Virginia, but it's the Republicans who still have the House and Senate in the state of Virginia. And I believe Virginia might go red again. I know when I was down in Virginia, lived down there, Jim Gilmore, um, George Allen Jr., they were governors. It was a red state then in the 90s. Northern Virginia's turned it blue. They have a lot of illegals in Northern Virginia as well, MS-13. The bottom line is something else that was a hypocrite. See, Trump played chess and he got the media to debate themselves. Well, the media said Trump has abandoned deporting illegals and that the port is over. He's just going to do criminals. Nope. Turn around, he's deporting everybody. But the media put it out there like deporting immigrants is over. No, it's not. But that's how dumb the media is. See, they don't back anything up with facts. They constantly run their mouths every time. And I'm just going to say this before I end. Understand how the world works. And you don't have to visit other countries. I have done it, but just because you have a passport, it doesn't make you better than anybody else. It doesn't. Now, if you want to go and live in those other countries, that's fine. But remember, you go to those other countries, you have no constitution to protect you, but you're still an American, and they will put you in jail. They have a different type of justice system over there. Now, I'm not saying our system is great. It's much better than what they got. And I'm just going to say this. Keep your eyes open. Don't live in a moment. Don't live on emotion. Understand the truth and reality, because that'll set you free. See, you have all these Democrats that create images in their minds, and they're trying to live the fantasy. Only children live fantasies. This is real shit out here. It's deep. Bottom line, you Democrats, you're really upset because you lost the election. You lost the election fair and square, and you get some of you all out there trying to say the election was illegitimate. No. Bottom line is you couldn't cheat like you did in 2020. The only reason why you got ahead in that election is because people didn't like Biden, but they didn't like Trump. And that's what people don't understand. And then also, didn't have a lot of people like me on YouTube, big podcasters. I'm a small guy, but I tell you what, you can have a lot of small guys out here doing the work as well. In fact, you need numbers out here. That's how you make everything go. And I'm saying for all the conservatives out there and all the Republicans out there, if you really want to make a go at everything out here and be influential, number one, know what you're talking about, tell the truth. If you have something to say, back it up. But we need more people out here to do this. Understand how the real world works as well. Don't live in delusion. Too many people live in delusion. They live in lies. They get disappointed because that lie isn't working, because that's what it was. It was a lie. And in the end, you just don't rely on your feelings, because feelings change. Know how the real world works, though. That's what you need to do. And in essence, let's understand that everything is not going to be perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. But what I can tell you is this: open up a book, do some writing, do some research. Have something to say if you know what you're saying. Don't rely on the mainstream media. Know who your Congress people are. Know who your state people are, your local people are. Understand the budget. See, most of us live from payday to payday. We don't pay attention to what's going on. Many of us don't understand taxes. Many of us, I guarantee, don't know what a value added tax is or Cadillac tax. Many of us don't pay attention to what's going on, the details. You understand what is being said. And then not only listen to what's being said, look what's being done. I always say actions speak louder than words. And this is what I'm talking about with women. Don't listen to what they say, listen to what they do. Like I said, I'm using women as an example because a lot of women out here are hypocrites. They're socialists. And particularly the liberals. They don't have an understanding of what's going on out here. And they will never have an understanding of what's going on out here. But they want power. But their power is destruction. They don't build anything. That's why when I hear them say, well, we can do what a man can do and do it better. No, they can't. Because if they could, more of them would be doing it. And just because a few of them are doing it doesn't mean that everyone can do it. You know, when it comes to equal, no, we're equal as far as being human beings, but a number of us have different skill sets. But just because you have an opinion doesn't mean your opinion means anything. Your opinion should be well thought out and it should base something. Utilize facts. A number of us don't want to hear facts because it's better to lie. Why? Because the lies are comfortable. The truth is uncomfortable. But in the end, as I conclude this video, because I've been on here long enough, but I just want you to know what's going on. And I'm only giving you my perspective. You don't have to agree with me. Get the information yourself. But in the end, when it comes to understanding what's going on here in America, I love this country. I love this country more than any other country because I've been to another number of these countries out here, and there's no country like America, no matter how much we've gone through. To remember, Americans have done a lot for other countries, even though other countries don't like us. America is here to stay. If people don't think Americans or America's that good, a lot of people keep coming over here. The answer is very easy because America is the home of the free, land of the brave. This is where you have liberty. In this country, you be whatever you want, even if I agree or disagree with it. Bottom line, if you understand reality, you know what the truth is, you have common sense, and you know what's going on around you, it's going to say this about the truth. Always know that when you align with the truth always set you free. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented to you, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, check out CIS channel. That channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, here's where you can find me. On my main channel, the 401 Talk Zone radio show, you can find me right here on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Truth Social, and Rumble. And for the QCIS channel, you can find me on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and LinkedIn. And for you individuals out here who envy people, or if you enjoy where you are, I'm just going to say this. This is true about America. Home of the free and the land of the brave. This quote I made up, tell you right now. Be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, then change it. Once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful, gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.